Part two, my thoughts on the Russian hacking narrative. This whole story is born out of Russia hacked the DNC, John Podesta's emails, right? That's where this whole story is born out of. Well, what did that so-called hacking of John Podesta's emails, or the DNC hack, tell us? It told us what we already knew. Even Republicans knew that the DNC was fucking Bernie out of the nomination. Even Republicans knew that. And what did all these people tell us when we said, man, the Democratic Party is cheating? They're cheating Bernie Sanders out of the nomination. You're a bunch of fucking crazy conspiracy theorists. Really? So what the emails did in essence was just confirm what we had already been saying. So this is where all of this shit is born out of. Oh, the Russians interfered in our elections by telling us what we already knew. Do you think Putin really gives a fucking shit who becomes president? In Putin's own words, he says, look, I watched the presidential elections in the United States. These are Putin's words. I watched the presidential elections in the United States. There's a lot of rhetoric on both sides. But whoever becomes elected, there's a guy in a black suit and black tie who shows up to the White House with the briefcase. And the policies remain the same. Putin fucking knows, no matter who gets elected, the policies are going to remain the same. Look, Trump increased fucking sanctions on Russia. Trump just announced a permanent military presence in Syria. Trump's administration is beating the fucking war drum with Iran. You know, the place where Russia gets a lot of their oil from. We're doing buzz-buys in the fucking Black Sea. It goes on and on. I mean, if Trump colluded with the Russian government, he's really shitty at collusion. Really shitty. It's terrible. They killed a multi-billion-dollar oil deal between Rex Tillerson, ExxonMobil, and the Russian government. That deal was immediately killed. So if there's collusion going on there, they're doing a pretty shitty job of it. So is there some money laundering going on? Is there some corrupt deals with the Russian oligarchs going on? Yeah, probably so. Do you think Hillary Clinton wasn't doing the same fucking bullshit? If you do, you're a fucking idiot. You're a moron. You're just ignoring everything out of your partisan hackery, which is what Cenk is doing right now. The guy has become MSNBC of YouTube. Okay? He tries to say that $20 million donation has nothing to do with his content. I beg to differ. 90% of his fucking coverage is on Trump. Look, Cenk pushes for Medicare for all. He pushes for money out of politics. All these things I agree with. But when you're spending 90% of your fucking time talking about Trump's latest fart and Russia collusion, those issues get buried. So how are you going to push progressive policy when you spend less than 10% of your time talking about progressive policy? It's all bullshit, man. This guy has become a mainstream partisan hack to the tilt. You want Medicare for all? You got to talk about it once in a while. How in the hell are you going to get that shit passed if you never talk about it? I'm sorry. I'm just so fed up with Cenk Uygur and his double-speak fucking lawyer bullshit. It's outrageous. I mean, was TYT progressive at one time? Yeah, maybe so. But you have to talk about the issues. They're not talking about the issues. They're talking about Trump this, Russia that, yada, yada, yada. They're not addressing the main policies that are going to affect people. They're doing the same shit that the fucking corporate media is doing. And I have a feeling it might have a little something to do with the $20 million donation from a guy by the name of Jeffrey Katzenberg, who is a DNC operative. Ah, shocker. Shocker, huh? Guy who's been inside the DNC for decades gives you $20 million, and all of a sudden you're chirping the Democratic Party line. Bullshit. What a coinky-dink. Cenk tries to pretend like that $20 million donation has nothing to do with the content of his show, but donations from corporations have something to do with policy positions of politicians. Why is it different for you? Where have I heard that before? Maybe from Hillary Clinton? It doesn't have anything to do with my policy positions. Yeah, but it does. I know I'm sidetracking here because this was supposed to be about the Russian narrative thing. My problem with that is increased sanctions on Russia, build up of NATO forces on the Polish-Russian border. Now, Cenk tried to say, well, Trump had no control over that. Really, the commander-in-chief of the fucking U.S. military has no control over that. Really? That's the story you're going with? The fucking lead guy in charge has no control over it. Okay. Yeah, that's believable. The buzz-buys in the Black Sea. He tried to take both sides of those issues. That's problematic. Either Trump has colluded with the Russian government or he hasn't. Which I attest he hasn't. Start addressing fucking policies. Stop with this Russian bullshit because it was a fucking creation of the DNC to cover up their own goddamn corruption and fucking over Bernie Sanders and fucking over all his supporters and spitting in the eye of progressives at every fucking turn. And Cenk doesn't seem to have a fucking problem with that. In fact, they did segments where they said that the people who were pushing the Bernie Sanders lawsuit were crazy. I mean, what the fuck, man? Cenk is a piece of shit. This guy is a piece of shit in my mind at this point. He's pushing all of the MSM narratives on Russia. He's talking about we should be defending Estonia because we have a treaty with them. Well, we had a treaty with Russia too, and guess what? We fucking broke that treaty. We fucking moved NATO forces right up to the border of Russia, which we said we wouldn't do. And then we want to fucking paint them as the aggressor because they're starting to move back into former Soviet bloc countries. The same thing we did to the Native Americans. You don't get to break treaties all the time and then act like the other party is the aggressor. You're the aggressor in that situation. I don't know what else to say on this. I just think that Jank and TYT have just completely enveloped themselves in the deep state narratives when it comes to Venezuela, Russia, Syria, Ukraine, you name it. These guys seem to be off the rails when it comes to these issues. They don't seem to give two shits about American foreign policy and how it's harmful at this point. Thanks. Good night.